Sasani Team Safeguarding Officer Jeff. We want to come live today to have a reaction about, this is a reaction video about what happened in the Senate yesterday, culminating to the impeachment of His Excellency, Deputy President of Kenya, shall we say former, Geoffrey Rigathi Gachagua. Of course, the impeachment was brought into the lower house by Honorable Eckomas Mutuse Mwengi, is the MP of Kibwezi West, and he's apparently an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, which really surprised many of us. Ilishangaza watu sana ya kwamba Mutuse is actually a High Court advocate of Kenya, because as much as that he's eloquent and definitely anaonekana ni mtu ameenda shule na nini, but his understanding of law is below par. Hafai kuwa an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. This video, I'm not intending it to be long, but what really surprised millions of Kenyans is actually that everybody is aware Mutuse is not the individual who actually wrote or proposed that impeachment. Sio yeye. This was not a Mutuse thought. Hii ni kitu Mutuse aliwekelewa, akaambiwa table it to parliament. And why is every individual that has just normal common sense anasema hivyo? Is because whenever Mutuse was asked anything about the impeachment, Mutuse was always hajui. He went round and round and round and round, which was not only an embarrassment to himself, especially as a man. Manake nafikiria definitely, I come to believe ukimwona hivyo ni mtu mbaya ako na familia. So aliaibisha bibi yake, aliaibisha watoto wake. But most importantly, the people of Kibwezi West who he represents as a member of parliament were ashamed. I could see me myself, nilikuwa naona watu wa Kibwezi walikuwa maybe wana watch hiyo impeachment hivi. Mutuse alikuwa anaulizwa mambo na lead counsel Elisha Oganya and akina Paul Muite, akina Njiro. They were asking him questions that he was not able even to answer. He didn't have an iota of understanding of what was happening. And sisi, as people, we've got to have that understanding of, before you try to do anything, please hakikisha ya kwamba unajua ni nini unafanya, unajua ni nini unasema. I am not sure the people who pulled ama hao watu waliwekelea Mwingi Mutuse hiyo impeachment kwa tebo yake, wakamwambia chukua hii 200,000, I don't know, chukua hii whatever he was given or whatever he was convinced. Those people ambaye walimwekelea, because clearly it is evident that that was not his impeachment. Haikuwa. Whosoever was behind that thing should have said to him, please hakikisha utastudy vizuri sana. We could clearly tell that he had crammed something. Kuna vitu alikuwa amecram. But what a shame for Mutuse to try and come and table something that he did not have any idea about what he was saying. So that is why I'm saying ali-embarrass bibi yake, aka-embarrass watoto wake, because now this is in the annals of history. He is now all over on social media kwamba he's one incompetent advocate of the High Court of Kenya. Now, I don't know if people are understanding the magnitude of this thing, because hii kitu sio bibi ya Mutuse peke yake ameibika. This is placing Kenya at a pedestal, embarrassment in the world, that we actually have advocate of the High Court of Kenya that are very incompetent, that cannot do anything, that cannot argue any case. Let me tell you something. Mimi nikiangalia equivalent ya that case ya Mutuse, and how, because of course he was the mover of the motion. Na kama mover of the motion, he needed to understand exactly what it is that he tabled in the lower, court. No, the lower house of parliament, which is the members of parliament. He needed to understand exactly what it is and a table apple, but he did not. Yeah, of course, kuna what happened behind doors, what was said, itaenda kwa whatever he was told he will get, and whatever aliambiwa atapata, akawekelewa hapo, but the impeachment was placed on him. Now, even the person who drafted, or the people who drafted this impeachment, honestly, also they needed to go back to school, because for me, I'm disappointed that kuna watu ambayo wanaweza kutengeneza impeachment kama. Let me just first and foremost address huyu Eckomas Mutuse Mwengi, Honorable, the MP of Kibwezi West. What a shame, what a disappointment. Mutuse cannot impeach a donkey. Because kama hiyo, wacha nimpatie the benefit of doubt na niseme ni yeye ameandika hizo 11 whatever alipetition huko kwa koti. Assuming he's the one that had done that, he cannot impeach even a donkey. Hawezi. Kama donkey imekataa kubeba mizigo, let's say for instance Makueni ama Kaskeu Market ama huko Kibwezi West Market, donkey imekataa kubeba mizigo, imekataa. Mutuse is not able to impeach that donkey, to write anything that can impeach that donkey. I hope you guys are trying to receive this as an analogy. I'm using this as an analogy to say Mutuse does not have any ability of impeaching anything, because haelewi ni nini anafanya. That's it. He cannot impeach even a donkey, let alone a high profile individual ama mtu kama Rigathi Gachagua, who was the deputy president. So kuja kuandika all these things that do not make sense na kukubali uwekelewe mzigo ambaye hauwezi, it's wrong. You as an individual, kabla ukubali anything in your life, make sure you understand the consequences. Mimi nimekuwa nikifundisha watu kuhusu mambo ya watoto. Wewe kama mama, wewe kama baba, before you accept to become somebody's wife, before you accept to become somebody's husband, understand the consequences of wewe kuwa bibi ya mtu. Jua ya kwamba itabidi uzalie huyo baba. Jua ya kwamba itabidi uzalishe huyo mama, because anakubali umuoe ili umzalishe apate watoto. Anakubali umuoe ili akuoe ili umzalie watoto. Understand the role very well. Wewe kama ni mama, jua kwamba utabeba mimba for 9 months. There is no way you are going to be married to a man and expect not to carry a pregnancy. Na huyo mwanaume ana expect umzalie watoto. It's not going to work. Please do not get into a role that you do not know what is it that role pertains. Wewe usiende kuchukua msichana wa mtu, umharibu na ametoka kwa baba yake. She is in her father's palace. She's being taken care of. Kuna mtu anaweza kumnunulia panty, anamnunulia bra, anamnunulia mafuta ya kujipaka, anakona sabuni, akona nguo, anakula vizuri, akona pahali pa kulala. Then you remove that girl, that queen, from her father's palace and umlete kwa your own keja, umlete kwa your own house, umlete to your own family, only kuja kumsumbua, only kuja kumchafua, only kuja to make sure instead of that woman progressing, anashuka chini. It's wrong. As a man, you ought to be ashamed of yourself if that is how and what you are planning to do na mtoto wa mtu. Do not forget, huyo ni sister ya mtu, huyo ni daughter ya mtu, huyo ni all that. The same way wewe huko. So before we get into any role, before you accept any role, take responsibility of understanding that role very clearly. Because once you are in that role, it is going to be very hard for you to go back. Because going back is going to have what we call consequences. kutakuwa na after effects, kutakuwa na what they call the aftermaths of your consequences. So Mutuse alikubali for whatever reason, because everybody can tell surely that was not his impeachment. Alikubali blindly kuingia into something that he was not aware. Let me give you an example, and sitashinda nikiongea hapa kwa sababu of course each and every one of us aliona hizo impeachment. Like for instance, hii mambo alikuwa anaongea, he listed 22 companies of Rigathi Gachagua and the family. Akasema wako na 22 companies. Why should you list 22 companies but you only have understanding ama umeenda ukafanya research for about 3? The only one I could talk about is only 3 ambazo alikuwa anapatiana vitu, and those one he was grilled, he was cross-examined by Elisha Ongoya and Njiru, and he was not able to articulate anything. Hakuna. So kama wewe ni mtu mjanja, why don't you list the only 3 that ambazo unasema, na useme huyu mtu akona zingine mingi, lakini I only chose to list these 3 because I have looked into them thoroughly. When you are coming to a court ama to a place like Senate, ama hata kwa hiyo bunge, ama hata like he's getting ready now to go to court, hizo vitu zote you have to be prepared, you have to be ready. Na ndio unasikia mimi nikiambia watu, nimekuwa nikiambia watu kama safeguarding officer, don't do anything that you have not looked into it, because you are going to annoy people, you are going to cause problem kwa watoto, you are going to cause problem to families, you are going to cause problem to communities, you are going to cause problem to nations and the entire world, because dunia imeshikana. What affects when Russia is hit, in affect Ukraine, Ukraine affects Europe, Europe affects Africa, everything, the world is interconnected. Kwa sababu we need each other. That is how God created the world. We need each other, watu wangu. Right? So, looking at what Mutuse was doing, there was no reason for him to kuja hapo kulist 22 companies, and he had no clue or idea of 99% of those companies. Alikuwa anajaribu kuongea kuhusu land in Nyeri that he did not have any idea about. Alikuwa anakuja kuongea kuhusu Daily Farm ya Gachagua. He had no idea. He was talking about insubordination, but this was unsubstantiated. He was talking about 5.2 billion accumulated wealth ambaye don't know Gachagua amepata. Most of that he could not articulate anything. Wakati alikuwa anaulizwa, he was trying to go round. Alikuwa anaenda, he was answering the wrong questions. I would really like kujua Mutuse alipata nini kwa his university, because definitely if he's a High Court of Kenya advocate, he must have gone to university. What dissertation did he do, or thesis? Ni gani walifanya? Because he has no clue. Alikuwa anaulizwa swali, and I understand this is probably a lawyer thing ambaye unaulizwa swali and you do not want to answer directly, but unajaribu kwenda, but in such a place he was wasting people's time, and many times he was pulled in even by the chairperson of the Senate, Amazon Jeffrey Kingi. Alikuwa anampula amwambia, answer the question, stop wasting time. So after going round and round, he would then come and say no. So this is why for me I'm disappointed with Mutuse, and I'm saying honestly, Mutuse ameibisha wa Kenya worldwide, because of course here impeachment of a deputy president has hit the whole world. If you look at the news around the world, it's there. Kenya is on a map right now ya kwamba they impeached a sitting deputy president, and the particulars of why he was impeached is fundamental to the world. So everybody is looking. Of course, tumeona katika hiyo impeachment watu wamekuwa kiquote things from America, things from Russia, things from Europe, things from South Africa. So hata hii ya Mutuse will be quoted around the world in other many cases and quotes. What an embarrassment to Kenya when people are going to say, hey, Kenya, an MP from some place called Kibwezi West attempted to impeach a deputy president, but he had no clue about what he was doing. So team safeguarding, tafadhalini mimi ningewauliza, kama wewe utajaribu kufanya kitu yote, huyo ni Mutuse alirepresent watu wa Kibwezi West na Kenyans in general and his own family. akatuaibisha to a highest level. Kama utajaribu kuja kufanya anything, tafadhali hakikisha kwamba unajua ni nini unafanya, unajua ni nini unasema. It is very wrong what happened. But of course we know exactly what happened and why it happened, because hata kama Rigathi alienda kwa hospitali na Senate ikaambiwa alienda, they went ahead and they continued and they impeached him in his hospital bed. What an embarrassment. What a deplorable act. How inhumane can people be? Can anybody be faulted for that? Yes, mimi naweza kusema yes, and I say this without fear of contradiction. Kwa sababu I know the chairperson of the Senate, who is Amazon Kingi, had the power ya kusema and adjourn hiyo special motion until wakati ile ambayo constitution nasema, because the constitution had still enough time and days to be allowed kabla hiyo time ishe. I think it was Saturday, which is tomorrow. So, and who knows what is going to happen today or tomorrow, that probably His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua would have been able to come and testify. We don't know yet. But he had that opportunity, but he chose to put it back to the Senate. Yeye mwenyewe aliomba 5 minutes, akasimamisha koti for 5 minutes, akasema let me go and think about this and come back. So, kabla aondoke hapo, as a chairperson, there is power that is installed in him. He could have made a declaration there. Aseme nimesikiliza the wakilis from Gachagua side, nimesikiliza wakili from the members of parliament who are the petitioner representing Eckomas Mutuse Mwengi, ambayo ndio of course walikuwa wameleta hiyo impeachment hapo, and they Mutuse of course was the mover of the motion. So angesema, after listening to all these sides, I have made a declaration. I, as a chairperson of the Senate, I am going to allow Gachagua to be heard, and I'm going to hold this impeachment process tupatie Gachagua 2 or 3 days. Kwa sababu hiyo swali iliulizwa huko kwa Senate. Just in case Gachagua asipopona, what happened? And lead counsel of the Deputy President, Paul Moite, said, why don't we cross that bridge when we get there? Let us not go under speculation. Wacha tuombe DP aendelee vizuri, madaktari wamwangalie, and then when we do agree, kama niyo Tuesday alikuwa anauliza, let us wait until that Tuesday. If he is not then ready, he is not ready to come to the Senate to stand here before this honorable Senate court, then we let us cross that bridge when we get there. But of course, Kingi Amazon, who had the power kama chairperson of the Senate, chose not to do that. Ange declared aseme, yes, nimekubaliana na hiyo mambo, and therefore I am putting this impeachment on a hold until Tuesday or Monday or even Sunday, because the Senate can sit at any time. They can even be called at night to come and do matters pertaining the country. You know, that is an order they take. They can be called at any time. Mnaweza kuamshwa mkiwa na your pajamas, mwende kwa Senate, mukadili na mambo. It is as simple as that. Nyinyi ni watumishi, na watumishi, that is what you do for the interest of the country and the wananchi. So he had that power, but he chose, after kukaa huko, kwenda huko, aliomba 5 minutes, but he was there for about 10 minutes. Wakati, I don't know who he spoke to behind closed doors. Na definitely because tunaelewa yeye ametoka from PA, the chama ile ambaye ametoka Mombasa, and that chama is a shareholder of the Kenya Kwanza government. That is how he came in to bring Mombasa people in. Akakuja na akasema shareholder ya PA, mimi nataka kukua Senate, and from there nataka kuwa chairperson, and he appointed himself, and that is how he ended up becoming the chairperson of the Senate. So tunaelewa, of course, he's ndani ya chama cha Kenya Kwanza. He's part of the government, he's part of the regime. So wakati alienda huko ndani na akakaa na whoever alikaa na wao, when he came down after 10 minutes, he said, ya kwamba nimeangalia kila kitu, and I am not going to personally make a declaration. I'm going to give the power back to this honorable court, not to this honorable Senate, so that they can make that decision. So why did Amazon King say that? He said that because he wanted to remove himself as an individual who had the power to make that decision. Lakini aliona wacha mimi nijitoe hapa. It's like Pilate, when Jesus was being crucified. Yeye alienda akaambia watu, what do you people want? Mnataka nini? Huyu mtu mimi nimemwangalia, ameangaliwa na Sanhedrin, ameangaliwa na nini, na Sadducees na nini, and the person is clean. Whatever the people are asking is ajafanya. So kama nyinyi, lakini kwa sababu ilikuwa ni tradition ya the Jews, then one person had to be released. The people wakasema, crucify Jesus who had not sinned. Crucify Jesus who had not any sin. Tutolee Barabbas, ule mtu ambaye alikuwa ako kwa jela na ni mwizi na alikuwa ameua na all that. Tupatie Barabbas. Crucify Jesus. What Pilate did, kwa sababu hakutaka hiyo damu ikue, Pilate washed his hands na akasema, mimi nimeweza kusikiliza kila kitu, and as a governor of Judea, I have given you people your wish, but his blood is not on my hands. Alitoa mikono yake na akaoga. So that is how he did. And this is what exactly Amazon King did. Amazon King had the power to stop that whole thing there, but he chose not to, and he put the whole issue back to the Senate. Now, let us look at why he put the issue back to the Senate. He put back the issue to the Senate because he knew there was numbers in the Senate. Kwa sababu gani? He is part of the game. Yeye ako part of the whole regime ile ambayo ilikuwa ina impeach Gachagua. It's only that he has to try and remain as neutral as possible. But ndani ya kule nyuma, and that is why he had to go to behind the closed doors. Huko ndani ya huko nyumba, he knows alienda kuongea na nani, maybe alichukua simu akapiga State House. Sasa unaonaje, rudisha hii kitu huko, kwa sababu ukirudisha huko definitely utasikia yes, yeah. And that is exactly what happened. When he came out there, he put the whole thing back to the Senate, and the Senate walienda kwa voting, and of course voting, most of people from Mlima Kenya, apart from the likes of Nyamo, who is of no significant use anyway to Mlima Kenya, she's a nobody. She's a nominated senator who doesn't have anything, just so she's of no effect to Mlima Kenya anyway. Ndio tunaona akifanya mambo kama, but a lot of senators ndani ya Mlima Kenya, they voted no. They voted against the motion. Akina Karongo Wadhangwa, wote akina Medho, they all try to tell their colleagues huko, please simameni na sisi this time, because hata nyinyi mtatuhitaji another time, and believe you me, we are going to revisit this. But of course, order ilikuwa imetoka from above kwa State House, na order ikitoka kwa State House, hey, you have to follow. So anyway, when the vote was casted kwa Senate, the no shouted, but of course the yes shouted more. So they refused, and they said the impeachment must continue regardless of whether Gachagua is hospitalized, he's not well, he's not able to come and defend himself. And how sad, how abhorrent, how low can you hit somebody when they are down? I mean, in boxing, rules, you don't hit an opponent when they are on the floor. You don't. You have to wait for them to stand up and they are able to hold and protect themselves, and then you show your ability and magnificence, and you break their guards and you hit them. That is how you become a winner. But you cannot impeach, for me, you cannot impeach somebody that is in a hospital bed. No. That is going below par. Na kama kungekuwa hakuna time, ningeelewa. Kama kungekuwa ni lazima tu jana was the last day of what the constitution allows, ndani ya hiyo impeachment, I could understand, and everybody could understand. But there was enough time. There was until, I think, tomorrow for that motion to be still ifanyike within the time, but they chose not to. So of course, ukijaribu kuangalia why Kingi put the vote back to the Senate is because he knew there is number in the Senate that are pro-impeachment. Of course, hii ni kitu ambayo ilikuwa imepangwa from samani, na kwa sababu Kenya Kwanza is the government that is in place, they know they have numbers. The only people that were really going against the impeachment of Gachagua were people from Mlima Kenya, and a very few others that has sense. So the majority were for going through the impeachment. So it's a sad day. Mimi nilishikwa na makasiriko mengi kusikia na kuona ya kwamba kuna watu, yani unaweza kufikiria senators, watu ambaye they are from the upper house, they are supposed to have common sense. Surely that they can impeach a deputy president that was bedridden. How? Anyway, it was sad to see what happened, but where are we up to coming to speed with this whole issue? So of course, after that, tumeona Kithure Kindiki amekuwa installed, and State House is not silly. State House wanafikiria Wakikuyu ni kumbafu. Watu from Lima are not stupid. Watu from Lima understand exactly what is happening, and yes, they know what is happening. So you can bring Kindiki, you can bring anybody, you can even replace Kindiki's, interior secretary with another Moses Kuria or another person from Lima, Kenya, to try and appease peace, but they will have not forgotten. People from Lima don't break vows. People from Lima, Kenya, they don't break vows. They refuse to listen to their former president, Uhuru Kenyatta, went against him and stood with what they knew best. They stood with William Ruto when he was crying ndani ya Karen, alikuwa analia kila siku akisema vile amedhulumiwa, vile amefanyiwa. He was in church every day. He was fasting. He was doing all sort of things, calling God to come and bring him. The Mulima stood up and went against their own son, went against a former president who was sitting president then. They went against it. This is how the Mulima are compact. Wakikwambia watakusupport, they don't go back. Wakikwambia watakusupport, they don't go back. So hii idea ya bringing Kindiki in, and even hata kama ni other CSs wachukuliwe waletwe kwa Mlima Kenya, wawekwe, install them there, so that you think Mlima Kenya will forget. I can guarantee you, State House, Mlima Kenya does not forget. They will not forget in 2027. And Mlima Kenya, munisikilize mimi nikiwaambia, kwa sababu the plan that is there now, ukiangalia Kindiki's installment, is to separate Mlima Kenya, the West and the rest, so that the power of Mlima Kenya cannot be strong. Because Mlima Kenya, that is where power iko. And this is even in the Bible about do not touch the mountain. It's serious. It's a serious thing. So anyway, Kindiki, congratulations. You are the son of Mlima on your appointment. I don't know whether this is going to go through, because the next thing that we understand is that, of course, Team Gachagua has challenged the impeachment that happened yesterday in court, in the High Court of Kenya. And therefore, that is going to have an effect. We don't know if the court is going to halt Kindiki installation as the new deputy president. I think that is normal procedure. Therefore, we are waiting to hear anytime this afternoon, this evening, it can happen. And of course, Kindiki can only be installed there as a deputy president by the court. So we are waiting to hear what is going to happen. But as far as Kindiki installation is concerned, people from Lima, Kenya had said they don't want that seat again. They had said Ruto had better give and appoint his own wife, Mama Rachel Ruto, a lady we respect a lot, to that position, because that is how far Mount Kenya people had gotten tired with the Ruto regime. This is how bad they felt betrayed. Mlima has been betrayed big time. You know, we saw the whole issue about, you know, people like Moses Kuria being removed from being a cabinet minister, and now he's, I don't know, a telecommunication, whatever, in the office of whatever. Yeah, so Mlima has been betrayed quite big, and therefore installing Kindiki there is not going to bring healing. You can bring Nyoro and the other one and all this and give them position, but like I said, the same way Mlima did not betray what they had been told by Uhuru before, and they stood with you, State House. They stood with you to ensure that they installed you to presidency together with their son Gachagua. They will not forget. So you can bring 27 CSs from Mlima Kenya, but they will still not forget. They are loyal people. They are loyal people. So it is sad, but the current news that is there right now is that I think we have petition that has already been petitioned in the High Court of Kenya to challenge the impeachment of His Excellency Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua yesterday. That happened yesterday in the Senate. And for that reason, we are waiting to hear what is going to happen. Anyway, the main reason for this video was to say that tafadhalini, anybody that is going to try and say something, it does not have to be in court or in Senate or anywhere. It can also be in the marketplace. It can be in your own house. It can be in your own business, in your job place. It can be in your own ministry. Please, if you know you do not have understanding of what you are going to do or tell people or whatever it is that you're doing, ensure you know what you're doing. Usiende tu kama, I don't know, I don't want to use bad words, but usikuwe tu mtu wa kwenda kufanya mambo anyhowly, and you embarrass yourself, you embarrass your family, you embarrass people who work with you, you embarrass, you know, the nation. It's wrong. That is what has happened with Eckomas Mutuse Mwengi, the MP for Kibwezi West, bringing an impeachment motion that he has been tabled to him after whatever. Nimeona saa hizi leo leaders from Machakos wakimkashifu, wakisema you have embarrassed Kamba people. You have really stooped too low to accept kuchezewa akili. And Kamba people pride themselves a lot. They are, you know, people. Kamba pia ni watu ambao wamesoma, and they have a mind that is brilliant. So to see one of their own come and level them to that level of, it was not the right thing to do. So Eckomas Mutuse Mwengi, MP, Kibwezi West, if you ever come across this message, mimi ningekuambia uli let a lot of people down because you came to do something that you had no clue about, and you allowed yourself to be used vibaya. Na siku ingine tafadhali soma kidogo, elewa kidogo. I don't know what the Law Society of Kenya is going to say about your conduct and about how you performed, because honestly uliwa embarrass. If this is the Law Society of Kenya, if this is how now they will be perceived around the world, I think people down here, the world, are going to have issues or problems with lawyers in Kenya, or probably even law school in Kenya has been put to shame, has been really embarrassed. Now, when you try to compare, of course, we cannot compare you with one of the greatest lawyers that Kenya has, PLO. But if you look at PLO and how, I mean, look at, let me not even use PLO. That's a class that you would never attain. If you try just to look at the people who are there executing your petition, some of them are actually good lawyers. You know, at least walikuwa wanaongea na unasikia whatever they are trying to challenge is actually something. I mean, tulikuwa na, senior counsel James Orengo there. James Orengo, of course, is a lawyer that is of reputation. Ni mtu ambaye anaelewa, of course, he's been there, he's a veteran. But of course, on this occasion, hiyo impeachment yako ilimfanya akue kama bumbuazi. Orengo was put to a very low level because Elisha was just, alikuwa na demolish everything that Orengo was trying to say. Njiru was completely humiliating Orengo. Paul Moite, mtu ambaye ni veteran kama Orengo, alikuwa anakuja ana water everything Orengo has said. So, but why was Orengo put to this point? Kwa sababu Orengo did not have substance. Orengo did not have anything that he can, ni vile yeye ni lawyer na ni lazima afanye kazi. Unajua the problem with lawyers, and that's why you saw a lot of people were angry with the last election ile ambayo ilifanyika ya Raila na Raila na Martha Karua, Barroso na Ruto and Uhuru. Wakati hiyo nini yao ilipelekwa kotini, people were very much angry, especially the Luo people from Nyanza. They were very angry with PLO, kwa sababu he went to represent the Uhuru family, the UDA. He went to represent Uhuru and Ruto. And they thought because he is from the Luo region, he comes from there, he should not be seen to represent any other person apart from Raila, because Raila was the one that was challenging the presidential election. But it doesn't work like that with lawyers. With lawyers, it's their job, ni kazi yao. Nani anakulipa vizuri? Nani amekupatia hiyo kazi? Na wewe kama lawyer, kama hiyo ni kazi yako, unaenda. Unaweza hata enda kwenda unaweza kupatiwa mtu, unaweza kwenda kufanyia mtu ambaye ni amechapa kazini yako. Uende kusimama na huyo mtu ambaye amechapa kazini yako. Kwa sababu ni job. So you cannot hold lawyers. Amwezi kuweka grudge useme sijui huyu nini. No. But when I look at the lawyers that were representing the members of parliament, actually they are very good lawyers that walikuwa hapo. Hata Orengo yeye mwenyewe, like I'm saying, he's a person that is of reputation, and definitely we know he's got quality. But on this occasion, unfortunately, he was flawed like nothing else. Elisha, Onyanga just made him look like a student lawyer that he did not know what he was saying. So, but why did James Orengo and his team become very humiliated huko kwa koti? It is because of this impeachment that had no merit. This impeachment that was baseless. That is why. So that's why nasema tafadhali, kabla ujiindulge in anything, think about the consequences. Think about the after effects, aftermaths of what is going to happen. Anyway, and ndani ya team safeguarding, we want to wish His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, President of Deputy President, well, shall I say former Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, quick recovery, speed recovery, that God is going to bless you. Nimesema former because, of course, as per now, he's not the president. Kienda kwa gari yake right now, it doesn't have the Kenyan flag. And hata kama akiwa hospitali, the DCI must have moved in very quickly. I saw clips of that. Soon as Jefferson Amazon Kingi said Rigathi Gachagua has now been impeached, soon as those words came out of his mouth, that it was. He stood impeached, and therefore the DCI had to move very quickly and remove Gachagua's family from the Deputy President's residence in Karen. They had to be evacuated because they no longer deserved to be in that house, because they were the husband. The Gachagua was not the Deputy President. So the DCI had to move in very quickly and remove the family. But also, part of it is to look where the car for Rigathi Gachagua was, and to remove the Kenyan flag from the car. Because soon as you are declared that you are no longer the president, the deputy president, the flag has to be removed, because that flag represents Kenya. And by then, he was not the deputy president of Kenya. And the sad reality of ukikuwa impeached, you cannot even stand tenure for so long, 10 years. So Bendera has to be removed. So anyway, there's a lot going on. Tutangoja tuone what is happening. but sisi tungependa wish the family of Rigathi Gachagua well, na tuseme God our bless. But there is one thing ningependa kuambia Mlima Kenya. Tafadhali Mlima Kenya, peace must be maintained. Regardless of how painful you are, regardless of the betrayal that you are feeling, you've been betrayed. Watu wa Mlima Kenya, it's good to see watu from Nyeri, inaonekana walikuwa wameshaamka, wameshaanza celebrate, wanasema our son Kindiki amekuwa installed, especially people from Tharaka Nithi. Ni vizuri. So let us have that celebration because Kindiki is also our son. Regardless of whether Gachagua has been replaced by another person from Mlima Kenya, that doesn't matter, but we must maintain peace. We cannot be on the streets fighting and doing all sorts of things that are not what law-abiding citizens must do. So Gen Zs, young people, children, tafadhali, refrain from anything that is crazy. Yeah? So we are law-abiding citizens and therefore mukue huko kwa barabara kama mtakua, but peacefully. But I don't even see the need of being huko kwa barabara. This is a judicial process and it has to happen. And there is nothing that says ni lazima mtu akuwe ndio deputy president. Sio lazima ukuwe wewe ni. Tunaonanga mpaka marriages, husband and wife, they divorce, they part ways. So sio lazima ukuwe wewe ni bibi ya mtu ama bwana ya mtu. Sio lazima wewe ukuwe ni friend ya mtu. You can become, even you are friends and things change and the friendship can die. So it's not a big deal. It's a process that is okay. And therefore, tafadhali, we speak and we call for peace. And we ask people to just accept it and allow the judicial process, if it is going, whatever happens, even after whatever happens after the court, even if the court was to uphold the impeachment, still peace must maintain. Because Gachagua is going to get well and is going to continue as a man, as a husband, as a whatever. Life does not stop because he's not a deputy president. Yeah. The same clothes alikuwa anavaa ndiyo atavaa, ataendelea kukula, ataendelea kukunywa. He's just not going to be the deputy president. And he does not have to be bold. Anyway, if you're not the deputy president, you don't need to be guarded. So the only thing that we pray is that peace to reign, na Mungu atatu bless. I'm just trying to see if I can look at some messages that are coming through. Somebody watching from Indonesia, God bless you so much. Asante sana. Somebody else are writing things there that I don't understand because I don't understand that language. God bless you so much for watching from that far. Jumbo Siba, thank you. Laban Msalili anasema lipa deni ya kumi yangu. Kumi yake, this is your making. Well, it is what it is. Unfortunately, hiyo ndio kumi yake. But what can we say? Mambo ubadilika. Things do go haywire. Kuna watu wamekuwa wakiongea kuhusu Kindiki na wanasema Kindiki never said a lot of things. Hata wakati wa Gen Z, Kindiki did not say anything. Yet he was the cabinet secretary for Interior. He was in charge na hakuongea kuhusu wale watoto wamewe. He was not saying much. So watu wamekuwa wakisema Kindiki. Nasema Kindiki, of course, Kindiki and Gachagua were the two people that were left for Ruto to choose. And then Ruto chose Gachagua instead of Kindiki. Of course, Kindiki was not happy. So kuna watu wanasema Kindiki bado amekuwa na hiyo grudge ya kwamba alifikiria kwamba Gachagua alichukua position yake na yeye ndiye alikuwa anafaa kuwa. Of course, Kindiki is a professor, so he's very learned and all that. And Gachagua is not that learned. Of course, but Gachagua is a veteran. And Gachagua is very knowledgeable and all that. Of course, and older than Kindiki. But Kindiki, I think, inawezekana Kindiki akuwe tangu wakati huo ambaye alikataa kuchaguliwa amebaki na hiyo grudge hapo. And this is why he'd never said and he'd never been. And now, of course, he's having jubilation because, of course, his prayer has now manifested that ule ambaye aliingia katika ile position ambaye alikuwa nafaa ingie ameondolewa and now he's been installed. a lot of people are saying a lot of things. Mambo kama ile ya Ndaragwa, watoto, all that, you know. So a lot of people have said a lot of things. And the question nimesikia watu wakiuliza sana, wamekuwa wakisema, Kindiki, there's a lot of things that may happen, kama hiyo mambo ya Ndaragwa, ya watoto, ya nini, ya Gen Z. And as a CS of Interior, he's not been heard saying much or condemning the state na nini mambo kama hayo. Of course, he's part of the regime. He's not going to come there and say, government ajui nini nafanya na nini na nini. How is he going to do? Wengi sana wamesema the installation of Kindiki and the approval by lower house na sasa ilikuwa inaonekana inataka kukimbizwa sana. I don't know where is the agency of kukimbizwa sana Kindiki akue sweared in leo. Why is this being rushed so quickly? Kwani walikuwa wanataka kublock Kindiki ameshakuwa sweared in, now he is the president kabla before, so that they don't give the opportunity for probably team Gachagua ama the legal team of Gachagua to go to court. They really try to hurry up, rush everything from kupatiana president kupatiana jina, and then from that quickly kulikuwa na special motion ya kumvai in, you know, and then kumvote, and from voting jina ipelekwa kule, and now he's supposed to take the oath this afternoon evening. Hey, come on, patia wa Kenya break watu wangu. His speed ni ya Bolt. Tunataka kwenda kama Kipchoge mosmos, tuelewe what's going on. Anyway, kuna Laban msanii bado anaenda kusema this Mlima thing is embarrassing to our democracy. Of course it is. Even the president is impeachable. I don't know about that. It's very, very hard. That's one thing I'll tell you. It's very, very, very hard. It's very hard to impeach a president. And for that process to happen, I don't want to discuss here, but there's a lot of things that are going to happen that you do not want even to hear, believe you me. So I would not want to start wishing that, because Kenya is bigger than any one of us. If we remember one of the greatest deputy president that Kenya has ever had, called Professor George Saitoti, when he went against Moi, and he said Kenya is bigger than any one of us. And there comes a time when an individual gets to think that, you know, what happened to him? Sitaongea zaidi ya hapo. Ngiyu, kwenda kwa YouTube utaangalia utajua. Just go to YouTube and make your research, utaweza kujua. Agnes, yes, I agree with you. And Average Joe, yes, indeed, God yuko. Na hajawahi tuacha. So watu wangu, among other messages that are coming, but because of time, God our bless sana, nashukuru sana. I pray you continue to pray for Kenya and it's her people. Pray for Kenya and her people. Pray for Kenya and her leaders, so that kila kitu ibaki salama. Ningeomba tuombee Gachagua because of his health, because regardless of all these political things, bado yeye ni baba, bado yeye ni bwana ya mtu, bado ni mtoto wa mtu, bado is a human being. So it's important to care for one another. Let us not be like Cain. Cain, when he was asked by God, where is your brother? He told God that, am I my brother's keeper? This is God that Cain was talking about and was responding to. Like, Cain alikuwa anafikiria, you know, Mungu ni kazini yake ama ni brother yake, hata ambaye atakuja kuzaliwa baadaye anaitwa Seth. He forgot that this was God. Na kuambia wakati aliongea upuzi, God pap aliweka sign, a very big sign here on his forehead, and he banished him from the presence of God, and he was sent into the land of the Lord. Don't joke with God. Msicheze na Mungu. Na ndio umesikia nikisema mlima iko protected. Mlima is protected. And the people of the mountain are people of God. Wanapenda Mungu. But all in all, watu wote wa Kenya ni watu ambaye wanapenda Mungu. Ano kunajua kuna kuanga na fujo na gazi hapa na pale. But Kenyan people are prayerful people. Regardless of religion. Watu wanapenda Mungu. Wanaomba kwa sinagogi, kwa misikiti, kwa whatever, sijui ni zinaitwa nini za Kihindi, za Kikristo makanisa. People pray. People pray. People love God and they love peace. Lakini najua kuna fujo na gasi ya huwa zinakuja, but that does not remove the fact that Kenyan people love God. And Kenya is a country that is loved by God, and God has his hands ndani ya Kenya hivi. So, God bless sana watu wangu. Nawapenda bure. Definitely I will see you in my next one. And let's see what's happening. Tunaendelea kuomba, muendelee kulinda na kuangalia watoto vizuri. Jueni ya kwamba, si kuna mtu anaweza maybe kuuliza, wewe safeguarding officer, what has this got to do with you? Why are you coming to talk politics here in this platform that unaita safeguarding watoto? What has safeguarding watoto got to do with politics? Let me explain that before I nimalize. Politics has everything to do with families. Na kama hauamini, where is Rigathi Gachagua right now? In the hospital. Why do you think he's in the hospital? Either kukue kuna whatever happened, like they are talking about that cup of tea. I don't know, sijui whatever. Speculation was to say he was poisoned. I don't know. Or he could not handle the pressure. His own system, his own body could not handle that pressure. It's too much. And he ended up having problems that culminated to him going to the hospital. Is that not about family? So politics does affect families. Politics affects our children big time. Politics made our children Gen Zs wauawe kwa street wengi. So let nobody start talking rubbish and saying I don't understand this safeguarding officer ni nini anaongea kuhusu politics, ni mbano siongea kuhusu watoto. Politics is about our children. Politics is about Gen Zs. That's why umesikia nikiambia Gen Z, let's stay fujo na gazi hatutaki. I have to say this because I don't want kusikia mtoto mwingine amepoteza their life. One child, us losing one child is one too many. We cannot afford to lose one child. It's one too many because hatujui huyo mtoto kama ndiye angekuja kuwa president in 2040. Hatujui kama huyo mtoto ndiye angekuja kuwa daktari mkubwa in 2020, in 2037. We don't know. So we must protect our children kwa udi na uvumba. So politics is about children. Politics is about family. Usisahau hawa, ukiona hawa akina Gachagua, akina Ruto, akina Martha Karua, ukiona akina Raila, ukiona hawa akina Millie Odhiambo, all this, kuna watoto wa kike wanawaangalia and they want to be like them. Why is it then you are telling me that politics is not about children? Why are you then saying that why is safeguarding officer Jeff talking about politics when hafai kuwa anafaa kuwa anaongea mambo ya watoto? Unataka niongea mambo ya watoto nini, kunyonyesha? Because I see a lot of people here talking nonsense and saying stay in your lane. This is my lane. I talk about everything that touches children. I talk about everything that affects children. I talk about everything that can bring harm to children. And when our children wanauawa kwa street, when our children are leaving our homes wakiwa sawa, mtu anarudi hana mkono, mtu anarudi na macho moja imevimba, mtu anarudi na bandage kwa kichwa, that is affecting our children. That is what I call harm. And our kazi yetu ni kuhakikisha ya kwamba children are protected, children are safeguarded from suffering not only significant harm, but any sort of harm whatsoever. So let nobody, and I mean nobody, say, mbana unaongea politics, because politics is not what you're supposed to be talking. You are supposed to be talking about watoto. Watoto is about politics. If we do not have watoto and we don't teach them about politics, how are we going to have leaders of tomorrow? If we don't teach watoto about how to be husbands, how are we going to have husbands of tomorrow? If we have watoto wa kike as girls and we don't teach them about becoming wives, about becoming nurses, about becoming all this, how are we going to have these children transition from children to those people? Politics is about children. So yes, I will talk about politics. I will talk about anything, because safeguarding children is a holistic thing. We safeguard children from a holistic perspective. We expect the government to be held to account when they don't deal with children. Like right now, I'm struggling with the Kenyan government. Nimekuwa nikijaribu kuelimisha wa Kenya kuhusu the Sexual Offences Act 2003. A lot of children have continued to suffer abuse ndani ya Kenya, na wengine wanashikwa wakiwa 12, 13. Wengine unakuta ni MPs, ni wababa, ni pastors, ni bishops, ni wanafanyi biashara. Wanachukua hao watoto, wanaenda wanawachafua, wanalala na wao. Wengine mpaka wanachukua wengine wa 15, wengine wa whatever, wanaenda wanalala na wao. Wakilala na wao wanarudi, kwa sababu mtu ako na pesa, anasema ameoa huyo mtoto. By the time that child is 18 or 19, wanawadivorce ama wanawatupa, kwa sababu sasa now they are adults. But the law should not stop to be followed to its core. Kama ulichukua huyo mtoto akiwa na 15, wewe ulivunja law na unafaa kuchukuliwa hatua. Unafaa kuwa charged. Usemekane wewe ulichukua huyo mtu ukuwa mtu mzima, ukachukua mtoto wa miaka 15. Wakati uchukua huyo mtoto wa miaka 15 ukaenda ukamchafua, haitakikani kujulikana kama ulienda ukamuoa, but ulichukua huyo mtoto kuwa na miaka 15. Now what does the law say ndani ya Sexual Offences Act 2003 ndani ya Kenya? Inasema mtu yoyote ambaye ni under 18 ni mtoto. Ni mtoto. Kwa hivyo ukienda kuoa mtu yoyote ambaye ni under 18 unafanya makosa. Of course kuna kipengele hapo ambayo kinateremka kuhusu kuna vile watoto wadogo hawezi kuconsent, na kukua mtoto na consenting ni two different things. But that's not what I'm here about to teach today. What I'm saying is there's a lot of things that people do not think safeguarding watoto is about. But safeguarding watoto is a holistic thing. Watoto ni lazima waangaliwe from wanatembea namna gani, how are they treated. Tunaangalia watoto wenye disability aje. How are we taking disabled children? How are we taking care of children with special needs ndani ya Kenya? What are the packages zile ambazo ziko za kusupport watoto ambao wako na needs? All these things. Kama ni mashule, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of thousands of schools have never even heard about safeguarding officers. Mtoto anaenda tu anashikwa, anachapwa huko, amefura mpaka amechapwa makofi na walimu, uso umefura. Na ni mtoto alitoka kwao nyumbani akaenda shule. Amechapwa na mwalimu. Hajachapwa na wezi, amechapwa na mwalimu. Uso imefura ama mgongo imefura, mwili amechapwa fimbo kama 15. There's a time mimi nilichapwa, sitaka kusema ile shule nilikuwa nasomea primary. There's a time nilichapwa 40 strokes of the cane. One day. Naweza kuambia huyo mwalimu, actually it was 3 teachers. Combination ya hizo vipoko za that day was ended up to about 40. Na kata kuambia majina yao walimu watatu, the school and all that. But hiyo ilikuwa ni our era. I survived and I became a safeguarding officer, a senior safeguarding officer to that effect. So, but what I'm saying, that was then. The world has evolved. We cannot do things the way we used to do things back 30 years ago. We can't, because that time is past and gone. So, ni lazima tuhakikisha kwamba watoto watalelewa vizuri na mambo yataendelea kuwa mazuri. That is all I'm saying. So please don't come into this platform uanze kusema who is safeguarding officer, why are you involving yourself into politics, why are you saying this, mbona unaongelea kuhusu Eckomas Mutuse Mwengi, mbona unaongea kuhusu impeachment. Impeachment is all about our children. If we do not vote the right government in place, our children are going to suffer. Is that not affecting children? if we do not vote the right MPs, people are going to call them MPigs shortly after, because they will realize wakati wa campaign wanakuja wanaletea mia moja na maleso, wanapatia kina mama maleso, and then straight after that the next 4 years and a half wanarudisha ile pesa yote walikuja wakampatia huko kwa campaign na kujijengea na kuweka pesa abroad. That is what they do. There is no MP that is poor ndani ya Kenya, and it's not only in Kenya, in Africa. There is no MP that is poor. If you want to compare and contrast, compare members of parliament in the UK or Australia or France, Europe, US. Compare even prime minister. Let me give you an example. When was the last time uliona Gachagua akiendesha baiskeli Kenya? Ever. Mtu hapa akuja ni challenge aniambie Gachagua alionekana Westland akiendesha baiskeli. Gachagua alionekana Karioko akiendesha baiskeli. Nothing. When did you ever saw Ruto jump into train? Unless ikuwe ni ile wakati wa kufungua train ya Mombasa. Ni siku gani umeona Ruto amesema yeye hataenda na gari the presidential escort, ataenda na basi? Never. You will not see. The only person that we saw try to imitate Barack Obama, because Barack Obama alikuwa anatembea kwa park na security bodyguard, and there were not many because he did not want. So what the only person that we saw trying to do that was Uhuru Kenyatta. Uhuru Kenyatta alikuwa anajiendesha wakati mwingine baka tunaona akisimama akiomba akinunua mahindi kwa barabara, akona gari peke yake, na hata kuna wakati alikuwa anatembea Uhuru Park. But I think he had borrowed that from Obama. So Kenyan presidents and Kenyans, what are the president? I'm a deputy president. MPs, MCS, they don't. They are above poverty line. Wakona pesa because kazi yao ni kukusanya wakienda hapo. That's the sad reality of it. Now, if you look at Maju, Boris Johnson for a very long time, he was the governor of London. It's a governor, not governor. In the UK is called, can't remember. Nimeongea sana mpaka hata nimesahau. Mtu aniambia hapa. Anaitwa nini hao? No, mayor. He was the mayor of London. For about 2 or 3 terms, he was the mayor of London. When he was mayor, he introduced what they call the Boris bike. Ya kwamba sasa unaweza kuacha gari yako nyumbani ama uache kupanda basi ama train, unaweza kuchukua bike. Sema for instance niwapatie example na Kenya. Nairobi City. Unaweza kwenda uchukue bike pahali, unaweza kwenda uchukue bike, sha register na nini, uweke kodi, uchukue bike Eckomas Market, weke mzigo yako, upandishe na hiyo bike all the way to Eastlands. Ukifika Eastlands, you don't need to return the bike back to where you got it from. Ama uko sokoni. You leave it somewhere in Eastland. That worked very well. So Boris Johnson, back at akuwa prime minister, he was still sometimes using bike, using trains. So presidents, prime ministers, all these ministers, members of parliament in Africa are kind of above the law. They are guarded like kings and queens. Ukiangalia entourage ya some of the African president is not even like that one of King Charles. It's not. Hata kama ni vile wangekuwa na uwezo, wangeenda kama Putin ama American president with bulletproof entourage everywhere. But we are not there yet. Why are you spending all these billions wakati kuna widows, kuna orphans ambaye they don't have food, hawana vitabu, hawana dawati darasani, hawana vitabu, walimu hawana chokaa ya kuandika kwa board. That's just some of the few things that make me angry as a safeguarding officer. So tafadhali mkisikia ninakuja kuongea hapa kuhusu watoto, I speak of watoto about everything, anything that is going to affect watoto. Nicholas Kariuki, asante, you agree. Fatuma Abdi, hello Safeguarding Watoto and everyone, hello to you. Karibuni sana. So yes, naongeaga hii mambo nikiwa na passion na zeal, and for that reason, that is why I talk. So na nimekuja kuongea kuhusu hii kitu kwa sababu nimekuwa nikisikia watu wakisema wewe unafaa kuongea kuhusu watoto, ufai kuongea kuhusu mambo ya politics, unaingia kwa politics kwa nini? Mbona unaenda kuingililia mambo ya kanisa? No. Kanisa affects children. Kanisa affects families. When families are affected, children are affected. So, ndio umesikia nikiwaambia safeguarding children, protecting children is a holistic thing. Iko everywhere. Iko kwa town, iko kwa village, iko kwa state house, iko kwa senate, iko everywhere. Watoto wanaangalia, wanasikiliza. I've always continued to say that children learn highly. A high percentage of how children learn is not through reading, is not through kuwa taught in the kwa darasa. It's through observation. Vile wanaona, what they see, how they see their leaders behave, how they see their mom and dad behave, how they see kaka yao ana behave, the elder sister. When children see, they learn a lot. So unaweza kama wewe tabia yako ni mbaya na unaongea sana na watoto wanakuangalia, please do not be surprised kusikia huyo mtoto akifanya kitu kama hiyo, because they saw you do it. Children imitate, children emulate, children are role modeled into things. So be very careful what you are saying in front of a child. Be very careful what you are doing in front of a child, kwa sababu huyo mtoto anakuangalia, anakusikiliza, anaona. So when they then start doing the same, mbona unalalamika? And because we don't want our children to do the wrong things, to do things that are contrary to the law, that is why we want to role model watoto wetu vizuri. Right? So anyway, watu wangu ni hayo tu. It's been an hour. Asanteni sana. Nashukuru sana for the love. Nawapenda bure. Fatuma Abdi, I cannot reveal that here. But that's not my point. My point is to teach about children. But if you want to know about YouTube and all that, niandikie. Go to our YouTube email and write ndani ya safeguardingwatoto@gmail.com. Safeguardingwatoto@gmail.com. Write to us, and mimi na wewe tutapangana vile tutaongea kwa simu ama tukutane, and let's talk that and discuss that, but we cannot discuss it here. So, but apart from that, nakushukuru sana, nakupenda bure. Thank you for your contribution. Guys, asanteni sana. God our bless sana. It's been 1 hour going to 9 minutes. Thank you very much. Tafadhali endeleeni kuombea watoto wetu, endeleeni kuombea familia, endeleeni kuombea young people, Gen Z, the millennials. Let us continue to do that. We must ensure that our children are kept safe and they are safeguarded from suffering any sort of harm whatsoever. Yes, and I will see you very soon in my next live, my next video, my next short, my next photo. Tafadhali kama huja subscribe ndani ya Team Safeguarding. We are on our way to 22K. Ama tunataka kufit. The next target that we have is 30,000. So tafadhali help us to get there. So please, kama huja subscribe, tunaomba usubscribe ndani ya Team Safeguarding, and God is going to bless you. Give this video a thumbs up kama ukipenda, and definitely tunakushukuru sana na tunakupenda. We'll see you in our next video. Okay. Nimeelewa Fatuma Abdi. Nakupata. So I'll see you guys very soon. Blessings. Why are you shouting when you know I'm